us as black and brown people, people that don't control the finances of this country, like we're basically out in the cold.
Mhm.
So if we don't organize ourselves, if we don't come up with a plan, if we don't look at these things and discuss amongst ourselves, I think we're gonna have a rough ride for the next few years.
Yeah, that brings to mind Ice Cube. And he the other day, I don't know if you've seen it, he's pretty much being the man stepping up and saying, look, man, I got a plan. I want people to get behind me. I'm gonna talk reparations. I'm gonna talk about redistribution of wealth in the
Hmm.
United States of America. I don't know if you've seen it, but what do you feel about Ice Cube, being very vocal and taking backlash for being vocal?
Ice Cube has been Ice Cube for a very long time. The man who wrote "Fuck the Police"
Hmm.
is still the man that we see today. So, Brother Cube is always been vocal about social issues. He's always been vocal about racial inequalities, and he's always been vocal and had a firm stance on how he feels about that. So, I think that people that are trying to, say something about Cube right now, have missed the boat. He's been like that for a long time, and I stand squarely behind him.
The anti-Semitic conversation has been very loud as of late. You've seen Q be accused of it, Deshaun Jackson out in Philly, Nick Cannon, and a lot of it's been steered around them bringing up the conversation of the original children of Israel. And that seems to be a very touchy conversation. And I'm not trying to get you in trouble, and you happy to be the next brother that's giving anti-Semitic rhetoric. But what are your thoughts on that?
Look, like I said, the argument and the conversation is always going to be uncomfortable when it comes to race. Um, so when you having a conversation, especially about something like this, it's imperative that both sides uh, don't come to the table with accusations, but with more listening than talking,
Word.
right? And so that's not happening. I think case in point is you take the statement Black Lives Matter, right? Not the organization, just the statement. And then from across the table comes all lives matter. So, if somebody's house is on fire, you don't say, all houses matter. Motherfucker, my house is on fire.
That's right.
Yeah, all houses matter, but this one's on fire. So let's put this motherfucker out first. And then we can talk about other things. So it's like people don't want to have a conversation about difficult things. Because if that was the case, then we would be a lot further than we are right now. It seems like this is just not getting better. There's no movement on any side, and no one seems to want to understand each other. Now, I'm just painting with a broad brush because there are tons of people that are out there supporting what's happening, that are not black, that are not brown. There are tons of people that don't want this to happen, that are being very vocal, and it seems as though that the more that things start to move in that direction, in a positive direction, the more negative gets vocal and blatant with the racism that we experience. So I think this good. I think it's going to be like a come to Jesus moment for everybody. When it comes to when race doesn't matter, because I think that the people that are supporting the the racist rhetoric that's coming from the top of the government all the way down to the bottom are going to have a real surprise when they find out that it's not about race. This is about finance. This is about money. Wait till they find out that the rich white people call poor white people niggas too. You know what I'm saying? Wait till they get a load of that. But they haven't hit that yet because they think that their skin tone is a saving grace, or said that they're in the good old boys club. It don't work that way. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the next few years, because the economic side of what we're experiencing right now hasn't hit home yet. We're talking about people who live check to check. We're talking about people who don't have tons of money saved in the bank,
Yes,
and these government checks that are coming out are not enough to subsidize what they're spending for their overhead for their family.
Yeah.
So now, you know, when they come out of this thing and everybody's high and dry and businesses that we've seen close, never open again, we're going to see really, you know, when you got to go to your neighbor's house that you've been calling a nigger for fucking 17 years and you need some fucking water or you need some food. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see how many motherfuckers talk about all lives matter at that point.
Dope. Yeah. So with that being said, whose side do you stand on? Trump, Biden, neither? What's your thoughts on that whole dynamic?
I don't fuck with religion or politics. That shit too violent. That's why I do gangster. I stay right there.
No doubt.
So do you vote? You hear dope?
I voted. I voted for the Obama administration. I thought that was a great time for me to, you know, actually get involved. But other than that, I don't have a horse in the race.
What's that on your hat?
Oh man, that's the Napalm logo.
Oh, okay, dope.
Yeah,
that's yeah.
El Fuego.
I like that.
Yeah, man,
that was dope.
So let's talk about the Pimp My Ride, if you may. What happened with that whole thing? I heard you talking about that it kind of interfered with your rap career a little bit. Can you give us the ones and twos on what happened with Pimp My Ride? Good. So I was asking about Pimp My Ride.
Yeah.
What exactly happened with that? Like why it ended and possibly a reboot. But yeah.
Well, I mean, it ended because my contract was up. That was it. Pimp My Ride, nobody knew what that show was going to be, right? And so when it started, they put us on at like 10 o'clock at night. They had like 13 episodes in the first season, and it just blew up, right? And so once that was over, you know, my contract was up, and I didn't want to renew it, and nobody understood why. I mean, the show was so dope. This and that, yeah. But for me, it was like, you know, we had 3 years on the show, you know what I'm saying, and we did a tremendous amount of good for people. My Ride was the first of those kind of shows, right? And it was about wish fulfillment. It wasn't about me. It wasn't about the car. It was about this could happen to me. I think that was the premise of the show. That's what made it good. It wasn't about tearing somebody down or having fun at somebody else's expense. It was about wish fulfillment. As the seasons progressed, it got bigger and bigger. I mean, the producers, you know, like sometimes I would walk in the garage and be like, what the fuck did y'all do to them cars? It was like they were so intent on connecting the kid's story to the build when it just got out of hand. And so then on top of that, it was like all these like promotional things, video games, you know, Sprites, you know, the sodas and fucking, you know, companies that just product placement and all this shit. And you know, that you know, it was a lot going on, right? That just took away from the soul of the show. So when it was time for, you know, my contract to be done, I just didn't want to do it anymore because it was not initially what I signed up for.
And did you have ownership in the show at all?
Absolutely not. And that was another problem. You know, there were hundreds of millions of dollars made off that show, and I had a hosting fee, and there was companies built off this show. People bought private islands off that type of money. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, so then I was left holding the bag, like, you know, oh, Xzibit, Pimp My Ride. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh no, like that's not my shit. but you know, it's argued, it's to be argued that show was built on my back and my credibility, and that's what made it sell. So you know, they did try to keep it going after I left, and it failed miserably. And so that's why, you know, it probably won't come back with me. But if they do reboot it, you know, God bless them.
Didn't they say that when you say something to the line of that you can get any black dude with braids to do that or something? Did you say something like that in the interview?
Yeah, that came back through the grapevine. You know, that's why. If you remember, I don't know if you ever watched a series like that, but there was an episode that was hosted by Chameleonaire, I think.
Okay.
And that was like because I was like, nah, I'm going to tour. So once that episode hit, it was a wrap.
Did it surprise you when Nick Cannon went